This is FCTV, Fan Controlled Television. Programs created and produced for the fans, by the fans of Fan Controlled Sports and Entertainment. As always, power to the fans. And now, it's time for the show.
Oh, you messed up now.
I'm doing Disney finger guns. You know that? Because it's two, you got to point with two fingers when you work at Disney. It's a little trick there. If you ever go to Disneyland or Disney World and you ask where something is, they don't do one finger. It's a two-finger point. Because one finger can mean different things in different countries, and it's always question, answer, question. Oh, so you're looking for Mr. Toad's Wild Ride? I'll tell you, it's right down. Take a right at Cinderella's Castle. Is there anything else I can help you with? There you go. Hi, I'm Kenny Stevenson.
Wow, and I am floored with that model of interpersonal interaction. I'm Alex Enriquez.
Welcome to Fan Controlled Fandom. This is all things in the Cape space. Superheroes, space knights and ninjas, and people. what Skibidi Toilet says new banter 13878. Love it. Or also people fight dragons. Today we're kind of doing like state of the animation. I would say animation domination, but I think Fox has already kind of coined that term.
Yes,
but
they have.
So, but we're talking about how in the fandom space right now, two of the biggest, names in the fandom space, Star Wars, Marvel, all they're giving us right now is animated stuff. And you know what? A lot of it's pretty dang good. But Alex, how are you today? I'm just going to ask you just for a real brief check-in.
I'm doing good, especially now that I know Skibidi Toilet, the original Ohio Rizzler, is here. That's really good. I'm down to clown, and I'm here to talk some cartoons.
Down to clown with the original Ohio Skibbler?
Rizzler. Skibidi Toilet is the original Ohio Rizzler.
Yeah, and the original Ohio Rizzler is definitely dripping in that Riz.
He's dripping. This is anti Riz. This is look, Skibidi Toilet's got reverse Riz, dude. Yes, thank you. Yes.
Rev Riz.
It's newspeak. It's just what they predicted in Fahrenheit 451. Remember? This is double plus Riz.
I love it. Double plus Riz, but we got to do a couple things first. First things first, we got to talk about the quick pieces of nerd news, and we have to hit you with some real intense guitar. Here it comes.
That's the first time I've shot my finger out of frame. I was so pumped. I was so ready to go for this quick hits.
Yeah, big time. Fan Controlled Fandom is always after dark talk. Yes, thank you. Well, you know what? In England, and if you're watching this show in France or you're watching us in Greece, it is nighttime. So, for our European EU friends, for our friends across the pond, this is a late night show. For those here in the States, this is prime kid time. So, we're going to straddle that line, baby.
And from Hilo all the way to Pearl Harbor, our friends in Hawaii are enjoying their Loco Moco, and to you we say aloha for breakfast.
I love me some Loco Moco. Great stuff.
Oh, amazing! One of the best foods ever.
Yeah, so surprisingly, not like a huge swath of stuff this week, which I had to scroll through to Monday's news to find some stuff, but there's always stuff. There's always gears going as Godzilla and King Kong are gonna team up with and King Kong has the Infinity Gauntlet on, it seems like. So that people are talking about monsters, but we're not talking about monsters on this show. But what I will talk about, probably the biggest news coming out of this week, is they have not officially announced any sort of Spider-Man 4 over at my the parent company that pays my bills. But I can confirm that Tom Holland was on the lot this week. So they're definitely talking about stuff. News breaking this week, because we know John Watts is for sure not going to be directing the fourth Spider-Man film. He directed all three of the original Tom Holland films. He was originally supposed to direct Fantastic Four, but he was like, peace out on Marvel. I'm just going to jump a couple doors down and do this Star Wars show. So that's what he's working on. He's got Skeleton Key, which we thought was going to be the next Star Wars show, but it's not. Later this year. However, news came this week that they are considering the MCU and Sony are considering a different batch, a bunch of different directors. Two names that have leaked out, or I'm sure these were kind of floated to the press are Drew Goddard and Justin Lin. Drew Goddard did Cabin in the Woods, Bad Times at the El Royale, was also previously employed by Sony to write a Sinister Six movie back when Andrew Garfield was Spider-Man and actually wrote a script and was in full pre-production. So I think maybe they want to do that. And Justin Lin just has made a bunch of Fast and Furious movies. So if you want to see Spider-Man driving a car screaming family, hire Justin Lin.
Spider-Man's finally going to drift in this one, guys. You know, he has a car. Canonically, he has a little car, a mobile, I think.
Oh my gosh, canonically. Oh, this is great. No new banter's coming in. What's this show about? I've never seen it before. Fandom. It's all about fan stuff. Star Wars, Marvel. We're talking about Marvel right now. Because let's just make the Venn diagram of like video games and nerd stuff. It's all in the same gang, baby. Of these two picks, I don't know how
Nerd Gang Worldwide.
Gang. Justin Lin, I'm somewhat familiar with his work just because I've seen a couple or like one or two Fast and Furious films. But he also directed a bunch of. He directed like one of the, I believe the first paintball episode of Community. What's his face? The Russo brothers did the rest of them, but I believe the first one is Justin Lin. So he's got some stuff going there. He's an interesting guy. Drew Goddard, as I mentioned, was already was very far along in a Sinister Six movie with the that they then scrapped. So, but the word on the scuttlebutt is that this is going to be a street level film. So maybe they're going to introduce street racing.
Perhaps most encouraging with this, and I do agree that I hope that at this street level film we at least get a little bit of racing. But perhaps the most encouraging thing is that also in his curriculum vitae, Space Jam: A New Legacy. So obviously he knows how to handle IP. He knows how to handle IP.
Oh my God, that now I'm terrified. That's right. Justin Lin did do that movie, and that is a movie. That's a movie, man. That is.
Boy, I tell you,
really.
They filmed and released that one. They filmed it and released it. You can say that about it.
They released it. They employed, I'm going to say, hundreds of digital effects artists to do all kinds of different Guga and whatnot. I mean, if you want Guga and you want your Guga at like high level Guga, Space Jam: A New Legacy right there. Wow.
Yeah. If you ever wanted to see a Droog and like Super Friends Aquaman in the same blurry background next to Danny DeVito's Penguin, load that one up on Max this evening for you and your kids, and then just watch our terrifying future.
It is. I remember watching that film with my kid. Like, she wanted to watch it like the day it came out on HBO Max because they were doing like day and date back in 2021. Mm-hmm. And halfway through, I mean, I'm in 30 minutes into that movie, I was just floored. I was like, what is this? This is like... You're positing a world where LeBron James has to play basketball to get his kid back, and he has access to the entire Warner Brothers library and still somehow settles on the Looney Tunes.
Yeah.
Why you didn't just go like right to Dragons or right to like Iron Giant, whatever. There's so many, anyway, whatever.
Dude,
Justin Lin,
five Supermans.
End of story.
Thank
you. What are we doing?
What are we doing? What are you doing?
Why even 5 Supermans? One. You don't need a Superman.
Well, you gotta probably somewhere you have to like floor. You have to put a whole team on the floor. So like you have to.
Yeah. Well, if you're gonna run a pick and roll, you need someone to set that pick. But that could be LeBron. Anyway.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Justin Lin, that definitely knocks him down a peg. You know, because not only has he done family, but he's done real family stuff. I guess Drew Goddard then's the default pick. I guess we got to just go for it then.
Look, you know what? His great granddaddy invented the rocket ship. They named a middle school after him in the town where I grew up. Let's get on to it.
I know Goddard. I know. I'm sure like Goddard is a name. Yeah. So that's this. I believe and this, I'm gonna make this bold prediction here. I believe we're gonna get an announcement about Spider-Man 4 in the next couple weeks to start shooting later this year to come out next year. And I think it is going to be fully announced as Tom Holland's last time suiting up for Sony. I think he's obviously going to be in Secret Wars, but I think this is going to be the last time he's going to put the suit on for Sony, and then Sony's going to go back to making all of their quality non-Marvel Studios Spider-Man movies, all of them. So great.
Cool stuff. We've got Bad Bunny in Spider Girl or whatever is coming.
That one got it's not happening. El Muerto, that's not happening.
Well,
The only ones we know are happening are Craven, which, I mean, I'll tell you what, I was watching some footage from Bullet Train yesterday, starring one Aaron Taylor Johnson. He's a great actor, man. He's a lot of fun. So I don't know. Who the hell knows? Why not? If they let him cook, like they let Tom Hardy cook in the Venom movies, anything can happen. Because guess what? We're also getting another Venom movie. So I mean, and I'll tell you what, as somebody who works for the company that produced Madam Web, as much as people want to say it's a terrible movie, I work specifically in the ad-supported video on demand space. So like the YouTube channels. Every single one of our vendors who makes YouTube clips for Sony, clamoring for footage for Madam Web, all dying to get it up online because it is still a memeable thing. And watch, when that thing gets on Netflix, I watch. It is going to be like top 10 in Netflix for like a month. Watch. I'm just going to say that right now.
I'll watch it there. I'll watch it then and there, but probably no, I'm just so bummed.
And you know what?
So
enjoy yourself. It's a great freaking movie. A movie that started this week that we never got an official like when this is starting or when this is happening. But, you know, Florence Pugh, who, you know, the age difference between her and I is a bit much, but holy moly, is she wonderful. Anyway,
the marriage difference between the two of you is a bit much too.
Well, you know, come say, come saw. They,
You're not allowed to say that, dude. We're on Twitch. It's a family show. You're not allowed to say that.
Big fan, but I also just think she's just a wonderful performer. And, you know, she plays Elena Belova. I've been having some real hard brain fog this week, my friend. Elena
It's unbelievable.
Belova. It's unbelievable. She, you know, so we never got an official start date for Thunderbolts. So Thunderbolts has been announced and it's been starting and stopping and it's been pushed because of the strike and we don't know who's in it and we lost the director and it's got a different director now and all the things. But she posted on set in Atlanta, I'm assuming, like taking a video of herself walking around being like, here's the set, walked all the way onto set. She's already dressed as Yelena and basically showed there's a whole set. Things are built. They're shooting. There's like actual footage on a screen. So they are shooting Thunderbolts, which is a movie that I believe that is coming out next year. So stuff is happening in Atlanta. Come see, come saw. Exactly. PC Lion.
What if this isn't like technically the beginning of the Thunderbolts shoot, but they're shooting whatever is going to be part of some other property that's going to present the Thunderbolts?
Well, the reason why I'm going to say it's the Thunderbolts is because she went over to the director of the movie of the Thunderbolts, and he's sitting in Video Village, and he's sitting, and they're all the chairs, all the like little chairs say Thunderbolts on the back. So, I mean, I don't know, maybe they are. Who knows?
Proven wrong.
But
Proven wrong. That's one on me.
yeah, so the Thunderbolts is happening. I don't know. We've talked about this movie a lot. Is there any sort of like hype meter, excitement level? What are you thinking about this film?
I'm excited for them to try this angle. I hope that in no way do they try to angle this as like, oh, it's like our Suicide Squad, because I think it has more potential than that. Also, side note, first chance I'm really getting to look at your new glasses. They are terrific.
Thank you very much. I was told I look like a 1970s Michael Caine, and I will mother effing take that. Yeah, so this is set to come out in May. Yeah. This is a movie that's coming out in a year, basically, and it's the last movie of Phase 5. So this is a film that started like, I mean, if you watch this video, I'm just basically telling you this because I don't know if I've ever seen a Marvel film allow somebody to do as much as they're letting her do on set. it's not like she's like revealing anything, but she is walking around the set and she is like, here's the director, here's the screen, which you could definitely like freeze the video. And I'm sure Eric Voss has freezed the video and look what's on the thing in the back. And she's like, here's some set. I mean, it's like, she's like walking around on set. So that was very, very, I'm surprised it's still online. So watch it while you can.
I mean, I think with something, Thunderbolts doesn't have the same kind of inherent name recognition that some of the other Marvel properties might bring.
That's a good point.
And with the MCU, sort of the optics around it's floundering, it needs to be saved, whatever, that allowing her that kind of access helps to get buzz and promotion going early.
That's a really, really great point, because this is like, she is without a doubt the biggest star in this movie. Like, it's got a lot of great actors. I mean, Sebastian Stan, David Harbour, Wyatt Russell, Julia Louis-Dreyfus, Geraldine Viswanathan. Oh, God, I need to learn how to pronounce that name. But she is by far the, like, she's the A-lister. She's a star who can open up a movie on her own. So that's not a bad point. Like, we got to get out and start teasing this movie. This movie needs to have like attitude. This movie needs to have, I don't know if they want to label it as a Suicide Squad, but it's got to have a feel to it. You know what I mean? It's got to feel like something else, because you got great people. David Harbour's Red Guardian character is fantastic, and Yelena Belova is fantastic. Bucky, I mean, he better be on that goddamn shrimping boat. If that shrimping boat's not in this movie, holy cow! I mean, I don't know.
Pardon your French, but we need.
Pardon my French. Thank you.
At this point, we need like 14 shrimping boats. And by the way, Geraldine Viswanathan is not.
Thank you.
I don't know. I'm not trying to. This is going to sound. I'm simply speaking about somebody who looks so young and vibrant. I don't picture a Geraldine. This is not.
It is what it is, man. She's a great actor, though.
She's cool. Yeah, she's cool.
She's great. Replacing Ayo Edebri. A couple of weeks ago, we were talking about that we neither one of us had any idea that was even happening, but apparently it was almost happening.
I know this person, and I didn't know that she was Australian. This is fantastic. Good for her. Good for us.
I think we have to assume at this point that if you are operating in a superhero film, there's like a 80 to 90% chance that you are either from the British Isle or the island/continent of Australia at this point, right?
/ former penal colony. Don't forget that.
Let's not forget.
Yes.
Colonizers. Speaking of colonizers, talk about space travel. We have one thing we always lament not ever talking about on this show is Star Trek, because neither one of us, I've only recently gotten Paramount Plus. And so there's just a lot of content to actually pour through, which I think at some point I'm going to, but when am I going to have time to do that? But maybe we will. I do watch Lower Decks. That's great. I've watched all of that. And I have Strange New Worlds I'm starting to watch. Discovery is kind of the show that launched Star Trek on Paramount Plus. And Michelle Yeoh used to be on that show, and then she left and she made way for the current actress who is playing the captain of the ship. We've already announced there's a Star Trek movie coming out, which I don't know if it's coming to Paramount Plus or theaters, but it's called Star Trek Section 31, and it recently wrapped production. Oh, it's a Paramount Plus movie. This is a sprawling cover story, and it spills the surprising return of a character who hasn't been seen in over 30 years. So I read this article, Alex. I do not remember this character, but I'm going to read it and see if you remember it, okay?
Okay.
In Star Trek Section 31, Michelle Yeoh, she is the morally dubious Georgiou. So her character in I did see this. In Discovery, she stepped through a portal to the past. And the exact time frame remains unknown, but thanks to the addition of one particular Star Trek character, we may have a much better idea. Section 3 will include a younger version of Rachel Garrett, the future captain of USS Enterprise C, who was introduced in yesterday's Enterprise, one of the best episodes of Star Trek Next Generation. The character was briefly seen as a statue in Star Trek Picard, but hasn't been seen in the flesh since that Next Generation episode. She'll be played by Casey Roll in Section 31. So I don't remember this episode or this character. Do you remember this character?
I mean, I must have seen it because I've watched.
I know, I definitely must have seen it. Same, yeah, exactly.
What's the episode name again?
Yesterday's Enterprise. So that's basically putting this movie in basically 30 years in the past. And it might not mean much to newcomers, but to franchise producer Alex Kurtzman, he knows they can't forget about longtime fans. You can't create new fans to the exclusion of old fans. You must serve your primary fan base first, and you must keep them happy. This is one of the most important steps to building new fans. Blah, 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 blah. This, should the movie prove to be a success, Michelle Yeoh has said that she'd be down for a sequel, but its success could mean more streaming movies in the franchise, including a possible follow-up to Star Trek Picard. Picard is the show that we need to watch because season 3 is basically just the next generation. But we'll get there at some point. I don't know. Maybe, but I can't engage with this character. I can't remember. Have you found it?
Yes. Yeah, I found this. It's somebody. Yeah, I remember this vaguely because it involved the return of a character who had died previously. So Tasha Yar, played by Bing Crosby's stepdaughter. She was a security officer like very early on and was killed off kind of famously. And then that was like maybe late season 1. And this is mid season 3 that they bring her back as like this alternate timeline version of the character. I'll definitely watch this episode again just to reacquaint myself. This sounds very exciting. I like that they're going to make this call.
Yeah, I'm looking at some photos of this as well, and I am starting to be like, oh yeah, I remember this. That might be worth just going back. You know what? I'm envisioning a world where I've got so much time, which is just not a world that exists here in this current timeline. No. But I would love to go back and rewatch some old Star Trek TNG, man. That stuff's awesome.
I think I would assume that your work precludes you being able to kind of have stuff on in the background, but TNG was like the perfect background show. Like I was on Netflix forever and I just let it roll like for months.
You know what I do? I do two things when I'm working because I'm also a highly sensitive person. So it's hard for me to focus on two things at the same time. I will, on one computer, I'll be working and then I'll either have a sporting ball game on that I can like kind of half listen to, half look at, or I'll pop some anime on. I'll just have some anime rocking in the background and that's perfect stuff. Perfect stuff to have rocking.
The one thing that limited me with anime, especially early on, but I'm on Crunchyroll now and there seems to be a better selection. But the thing that limited me with anime is having stuff on in the background is hard if you have to read what the
you need dubs. I'm doing the dubs,
baby.
Dubs all over subs. And I know most hardcore anime fans are like subs before dubs, but I'm like, I need to be able to like turn my head and not miss what's going on. Hey.
Yeah. I'm not a hardcore anime fan.
I went to a great presentation on the lot yesterday by the president and CEO and the CFO and some other guy from Crunchyroll, and it was pretty cool. Got to listen to them talk for an hour about anime. It was fun. Anyway, to nobody. We talked about, I don't know if this was talked about in the Turkey episode, but this is something that this is a franchise that we have both wanted to see just go away. But Pirates of the Caribbean, they keep trying to make these movies. They have already said, fans, of course, are hoping that Johnny Depp will be reprising his role. But Jerry Bruckheimer came out and said this week that the next film will be a reboot. And I don't know if I can roll my eyes harder at that sentence. But here we go. He said, according to Bruckheimer, much of it comes down to scheduling, with him noting how hard it is to do sequels to huge hits with big stars. I don't think Johnny Depp's schedule is super full right now. You don't know how they come together. You just don't know. Because with Top Gun, you have an actor. Top Gun, you have an actor who's iconic and brilliant. How many movies he does before he does Top Gun, I can't tell you. But we're going to reboot Pirates so that it's easier to put together because you don't have to wait for certain actors. I don't really feel like Johnny Depp has like a long thing on a lot on his plate right now.
Well, I mean, you have to leave time open for any trials that might pop up. You know, that really kind of takes a chunk out of your production schedule. I'm sorry, I have to go testify in my own defense against some evil things that I've done.
Hey, I'm sorry, I'm just gonna take 14 scarves off real quick. That guy. Man, remember when he was like, I'm going to play Tonto in a movie? Like, get out of here. Jeez Louise. I'm so glad that movie. Look at that. Look at that movie. A movie starring Johnny Depp and Armie Hammer. That was like a thing. That was a thing.
They tried real hard there.
Real hard to make us think that guy who played both Winklevoss twins, we needed to see more of him.
Right.
God.
Right.
Let's put him in prestige stuff where he makes out with Timmy Chalamet and nope.
Let's literally everything people complain about with rich folk, and he's got the name of one of the world's richest men, and he goes like, I'm so bored with regular stuff. You know what gets me jolly is eating people, or at least thinking about it, or whatever. What a creep. What an absolute trash bag.
Creep. And I mean, the way that Hollywood was clamoring over him. What superhero what is he gonna choose? What superhero is he gonna be?
He was Batman. He was cast in George Miller's Justice League Mortal. He was Batman.
What?
There's a live action Justice League movie that was scuttled because of the writer's strike in 2008 or whenever that big strike was early in my career. But George Miller, the director of Mad Max, was
Babe a Pig in the City.
Absolutely. And Happy Feet. Don't forget Happy Feet. He was developing and had cast, and I think there was they were in pre-production. The cast was assembled, had a full what's his face from the OC played the Flash.
Adam Brody?
Adam Brody was the Flash.
I love him.
Was
He's
Green
great.
Lantern.
Whoa.
Then the dude who ironically plays one of the other members of the Shazam family in the Shazam movies was DJ Catrona, I think is his name. He was Superman.
Yeah, well, Adam Brody's also in the Shazam family.
Right. So, but yeah, Armie Hammer was cast as Superman, as Batman, Bruce Wayne. And I remember after the movie was scuttled, there was like interviews about the process and how the cast was all together in Australia, and that George Miller was purposely keeping Armie Hammer separate from everybody. And Armie Hammer said he thought it was because, like, oh, he wanted me to be like Bruce Wayne, kind of Batman, a lone operator, kind of them not knowing what to do with me. But I think George Miller was like, I think Armie Hammer's going to eat somebody. I can see it in his eyes.
Obviously now, we know that now. Hindsight is 2020. So the moral of the story is just stop making pirates movies, man. Like there is no app. Again, this goes with everything. Jurassic World sequels, Terminator sequels. There is no appetite for this anymore. So stop. Make a TV show. Go make a TV show. You got your own channel, Disney Plus. Go make a TV show, reboot it, whatever. Who cares? Anyway,
you know what? Here's the thing. I'll make you a deal, Michael Eisner. I'll make you a deal. If Mikey, you can make your Pirates of the Caribbean reboot if you give me 4 brand new major pieces of like franchise level IP, brand new, wholly originally developed.
Yep,
4 of those. Big top, then you can rehash
whatever you want.
Pirates movie. Then go nuts. That's my challenge to you, Michael Eisner.
Well, he's retired. You mean Bob Iger?
He'll get the word up.
Yeah, we will. We're on Fan Controlled Sports Entertainment here. We're not moving to the sports news yet, but Josh McCouga is a renowned Bad Boys fan, big time Bad Boys fan, and we got a trailer this week. First of all, I just want to say, as somebody who works with me that produces this film, the fact that we called the third Bad Boys film Bad Boys for Life is just an utter mistake. You call the fourth one Bad Boys for Life. That's just an utter mistake. I'm sure they didn't think they were going to make a fourth, so that's why they did it. But they did, and a trailer dropped this week. It's called Bad Boys Ride or Die. Alex, did you watch this trailer?
No, I didn't. I'm assuming that it looked really orange and high intensity, and Will Smith said something. Oh no, here it is again. And Martin was a little bit, befuddled.
You have nailed it on the head. I will say the thing that the action looks great. The guys that they brought in, it's these two guys who also directed the now never not happening Wow, you can look at this. There's 120 people watching on Twitter right now.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Hey, no, good luck. They on
Just
the two guys who
generally good luck.
made the Batgirl movie. That's what they made Bad Boys for Life, and then they got hired to make the Batgirl movie. That movie is not happening. They also did Ms. Marvel. Great directors. They really kind of nail the like Michael Bay aesthetic with not like hitting you like, so it feels like of the world. And yeah, there's a point in this trailer that's actually genuinely quite funny where they're in like a club and things are being shot at them, and Martin Lawrence says, I got this. And then Will Smith says, but you don't though. Funny stuff, man. It works. I will say Martin Lawrence next to Will Smith. I don't know, man. I love you. Age all you want. Age is beautiful, but it looks like dad next to his son, frankly.
Somebody, and I don't mean to make light of things, but somebody's workout regime does not include running around in plastic bags. Somebody's workout regime is a little more healthy, a little more tuned in, and I think it's starting to show, probably, is what you're alluding to.
It's definitely like there's a couple of shots where I'm like, oh boy, Martin, just like the treadmill or something. Anyway, I don't want to hate whatever. I don't want to hate. The guy's doing whatever he wants to do. But check it out. It actually does look like fun. The third one was a lot of fun. I think they're really just kind of like they know what they're doing, and that's what they're doing. And it's called Ride or Die, baby, because they're ride or die. They're for buddies for life, bad boys for life, ride or die.
Never seen one frame of a Bad Boys movie.
I'll tell you what. First one is Michael Bay's first film. Really fun. Second one is like Michael Bay's like third film, and it's a little bit much. It's fun to watch. I mean, their banter is great. I mean, it's exactly what you would think you would have when you have Will Smith and Martin Lawrence in a movie. The action sequences are like, Michael Bay's had a couple hits, so he's a little bit full of himself in the second one. And then the third one is, I mean, genuinely fun. Like they really just like really found a way to like all this nostalgia stuff that we're rocking so much all the time. They found a way to really kind of like bring it back, keep it where it should be. Like the thing that's good about the third one is that they're not like trying to posit that they're like 20 years old still. Like I forget which, like on Cobra Kai where you're watching it and it's like, but aren't you supposed to be like 70 years old? Like it's, you know what I mean? No, truly.
I know.
Like you watch Cobra Kai and like the guy who plays like Sensei Kreese is like intimidating people. I'm like, that guy is like 80 years old. Like that's not like, I'm sorry. Like, I just know, not that like the person's weak, but just like in terms of like bone density, like it's just how much damage is going to happen. But
like you could probably outrun him, right? Like probably.
Yeah. But like the Bad Boys, they keep it like, Martin Lawrence is a grandfather because his daughter is older and is married, it's like they really do a good job of that. So I'm excited for that. And for Josh McCouga to be able to have another addition to the Bad Boys. Anywho,
put that one in your Christmas stocking, Josh.
Yep. So we're on the Fan Controlled Sports Entertainment Twitch and Twitter and Facebook, YouTube streaming. We're streaming all over the internet, baby. But we are the entertainment piece, the S in the FCSAE, F whatever, sports and entertainment. The sports. We do one piece of sports news every week. Alex, what's your piece of sports news?
Well, of course, I'm going to take you all out to the Formula One track. We're in an off week this week for racing, but we want to extend an official fan-controlled fandom congratulations to last week's Australian Grand Prix winner, Carlos Sainz, who still does not have a seat for next year. Speculation continues to swirl around the paddock as to who will fill the empty seat at Mercedes for next year that Lewis Hamilton is, of course, giving up to go to Ferrari. This week brought rumors that the current F2 star Kimi Antonelli tested with Mercedes at Imola, which is impressive, if true, for this single-seat racing prodigy. We also heard from Toto Wolff, Mercedes team principal, who he said in an interview that it felt like the two-time world champion and current series leader Max Verstappen joining Mercedes at some point in the future, quote, needs to happen, close quote. Will it?
Ooh.
Only time will tell. Back to you, Kenny.
Fantastic. Alex, did you know that there's a brand new football league starting tomorrow? I've talked before on this show
Good
about
gravy.
how the XFL and the USFL, two competing spring leagues have merged, and they've birthed a baby called the UFL, and it kicks off tomorrow with 2 games. The Birmingham Stallions. So there's 2 leagues. They took 4 teams from the USFL. Technically 4. There was a Houston team in the USFL and the XFL, and they kept the Houston kind of team, but changed it to the name of the XFL Houston team. And then there's 4 XFL teams playing. Is that right? That sounds about right. And they're playing. They're starting this league tomorrow, but it starts tomorrow with the 2 champions, the champion of the USFL from the last year and the champion of the XFL last year, the Birmingham Stallions versus the Arlington Renegades. Also tomorrow we have the St. Louis Battlehawks versus the Michigan Panthers. That's at Ford Field. Wait till you see, Alex, when the St. Louis Battlehawks have a home game next year. They will bring, this is not a joke, they will bring 50 to 60,000 people to the Dome in St. Louis to watch the UFL. And then on Sunday, we have the DC Defenders versus the San Antonio Brahmas, because, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson is a part owner of this. And then the Memphis Showboats versus the Houston Roughnecks close out the weekend. No team west of the Mississippi, so I'm not sure who I'm following this year. I'm torn between the Defenders or the Showboats, but Alex, the UFL kicks off this weekend.
Dude, there's a team out there called the Battlehawks. They went for it. That's the coolest name of anything ever. Caw, indeed.
Yeah, a BC Lion. I definitely know when the BC Lions home opener is. Thank you very much. I always love that BC Lion franchise 70th home opener. We're looking to take it this year. We're going all the way to the Grey Cup. The Grey Cup is in Vancouver this year, so we're gonna have that Grey Cup be a home game. Let's go, BC Lions. Let's go.
Alex, Kenny, I know it's probably not fashionable to say in 2024, but I always say no home opener. Sorry, I messed that up. No home opener.
That is not fashionable to say.
It's not progressive. It betrays my politics.
I'm going to tell a real quick joke, because yes, this does not go for our politics. You got to look it up online. You got to look up Gus Johnson, who was he's an announcer. He announces football. He announces basketball. He used to do a bunch of stuff for the Knicks, and about 15 years ago, the Knicks made a trade, and in that trade, they received a player, former Gonzaga point guard Dan Dickow, and in the interview, Spike Lee's like, "I like the players we got." He's like, "I like this, I like Dick," instead of saying Dickow. And then in the middle of the interview, another way to say no homo is to say pause, and so it's like he says, "I like Dick." And then Gus Johnson doesn't even miss a beat, just goes, pause, and then keeps going. And I'm like, horribly ignorant, just horribly ignorant, not cool, but at the same time, kind of funny.
Just look, I think we can just sort of encase it in glass and appreciate the timing, maybe? The
timing, that's what it goes. Yes. Yes, the homophobia, no. The timing and the delivery was flawless.
Right.
All right. Anyway,
right. Yeah.
Speaking of flawless delivery, you, my friend, are always giving us flawless deliveries of our ad reads, our corporate sponsors every week. Alex, who's our sponsor for the show this week?
Well, the sponsor this week is Uncle Rick Caruso's Easter festivities at the Grove. So it's Uncle Rick. And I want to just say, this isn't Rick Caruso saying these things. This is the mascot of the Grove, Uncle Rick.
Got it.
The Grove is, of course, the world famous mall down here in Los Angeles. And so these are some of the festivities for Easter. Uncle Rick wants you to know he is risen. Who? Why, Uncle Rick. And he's rolling back the rock on a cave full of Easter fun at the Grove. So first of all, the 3-story Barnes & Noble is now turned into a giant ball pit. So you drop your kids into it from the roof, and then you come collect them about 2 hours later from in front of the Cheesecake Factory when the ball pit finally disgorges them. And then the farmers market next door is getting in on the action. They've got deals and savings on all the Catholic produce like eggplant, Roma tomatoes, and church berries. Then finally, Uncle Rick's blessing and washing of the feet for sanitary and spiritual purposes. Uncle Rick will personally inspect, wash, and bless the feet of every visitor in the world famous musical fountain. Get those piggies out for Uncle Rick. Adults only. Those are some of the Easter festivities at the Grove.
That sounds awful. Uncle Rick. Uncle
Rick is detestable.
You're terrible.
And again, that's the mascot.
Amazing. BC Lion says the number one Twitch streamer of all time. It's the Duke Midnight Show. And it's everything you ever dreamed it could be. It is. You know what else I dreamed it could be? We are in a space right now. We're at the main topic here, which I put, you got X-Men in my Bad Batch? No, you got Bad Batch in my X-Men. What if there's both? Yeah, we are at a moment here in fandom when we have two large, giant behemoth franchises in Star Wars and the Marvel Cinematic Universe, which includes television. And the only offerings we have from these two giant things right now are animated television shows. We have X-Men 97 and we have The Bad Batch. And we had 2 episodes of this show. And these shows, for all intents and purposes, are kind of like knocking it out of the park. X-Men 97 is at 97% on Rotten Tomatoes, ironically. I don't know where Bad Batch sits, but Bad Batch this season has had a linear narrative that is like low-key setting up all of the stuff that of how you clone Palpatine in The Force Awakens or in Rise of Skywalker. They are just low-key setting that all up in this little animated show. So, and it kind of, we're gonna talk about both episodes, but also kind of overall talk about how these animated shows are like keeping the lights on, but in a really fun and interesting way that, I don't know, might even signal how to do stuff for the live action stuff. But what do you want to talk about first, Bad Batch or X-Men?
Let's do X-Men first. That's like the heavier lift, I think.
It is. Well, we got to talk a lot about, there's a character that shows up in Bad Batch that is supposedly dead. But anyway, so
yeah, this is
let's
true.
Let's talk about X-Men first. Why not? Episode 3, Fire Made Flesh, written by Emi Yonemura, directed by Emi Yonemura, written by Bo DeMeo and Charlie Feldman. The X-Men take in the Jean lookalike who Beast determines as the real Jean. Mr. Sinister contacts the other Jean, revealing her to be a clone he created before asserting control of her and turning her into the Goblin Queen. Next level stuff there. Just next level Guga. She kidnaps Nathan and hands him off to Sinister before subjecting the X-Men to horrific visions until the real Jean confronts her telepathically, during which the latter reminds her of their shared memories. Morph leads the X-Men to one of Sinister's labs where they find him infecting Nathan with a techno-organic virus, Gugod Next Level, under the belief that it will turn him into the ultimate mutant. Free of Sinister's control, the clone turns on him, but Nathan is left gravely ill. The clone and Cyclops task Bishop with taking Nathan to the future in the hopes of finding a cure there. Afterward, the clone leaves the X-Men, taking the name Madeline Pryor, just like throws it away like it was nothing. Meanwhile, Storm meets with Forge, who tells her he can restore her powers. This was, Alex, thoughts about the episode?
Oh, I loved it. I loved this. This was all of the promise of the original X-Men series for me fulfilled without like the really, I'll be honest, bad animation. I just love what this show is doing. I love that they're using Morph to just like bring in all these like back catalog cameos, Spiral, so that he could raise 6 arms. Yeah, it's also serious, and they got weird with it this week. They went all the way wild, Miyazaki Guga. This was like,
I'm glad you said that. This was, go ahead, keep going. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think that again, you have, like we always talk about, you have to earn those things, and this show absolutely does. I think that the original intent of the X-Men animated series was to kind of have this melodrama with superheroes in it. And I think you have to have like decent animation. It can't be like, oh, wow, they just skipped some frames there. Why does Jubilee's face look like that when she's just talking? This show nails. It looks so good, and it's so inventive. And it also steeps itself deep in comic book-ism. I can't really explain it, but there was something about that last episode that felt like reading those original Claremont issues of the Inferno crossover. Or yeah, they had this big storyline called Inferno in which they revealed that the Madeline Pryor, who was this woman that Scott Summers was with, was a clone of Jean Grey, and that she went bad and became the Goblin Queen, just like we see in this episode of X-Men. But just kind of like weirdness, and they really embrace that. Like it really just spirit of the comic book that really, it was just cool. I'm probably gonna watch it again at some point today just to kind of
it was there. There is very much like they've really nailed the like 90s comic book weirdness. They've really nailed that. And then yes, there is definitely a point when Jean is making all these people have these weird kind of visions and stuff that is very much, it felt very anime like. It felt very much, and because I mean frankly a lot of these shows were animated in Japan. I'm sure the original one was. So you know, G.I. Joe, Transformers, all these shows were animated out of Japan. And so, like, but the real, like, goofy stuff that is happening in this, but it's all, like, comic, like, her outfit, the fact that I put this in the notes, the fact that she chooses to wear essentially, like, a swimsuit with, like, I don't know, quad high boots, like just not a comfortable thing to be wearing, but like 90s comic books, that's how they dressed women. They just put them in like totally sexy, weird outfits.
How would you know that she'd completely switched her personality and values if she wasn't like completely objectified? And you know, come on, think about it, Kenny.
And you know what she also had too? A cape, because it was in the cape space. So many things I want to talk about with this episode. I'm trying to look at my notes where to go first. I mean, I'm putting
a link. I'm sending you a link to something that this was like the ultimate pull the rug out from under you to me as a kid. I think I just like texted it to you, but like when they syndicated the X-Men animated series outside of like, you know, when it was shown outside of Fox, they redid the intro in an anime style, and it looks so much cooler than the show you eventually watch after it. And that was like, I think that was like, that was endemic in the 80s and 90s that you'd watch. Like the Ninja Turtles animated show had an incredibly animated intro, and then the show itself was kind of mushy. But this is the ultimate like, oh yeah,
this episode. It's just, this show is just doing so much stuff. Like it's introducing, there are so many things where, as I'm watching it, that I was thinking to myself, like, what a way to bring in the X-Men into the MCU. Like we don't know how this relates to anything canonically into the larger MCU. But the fact that you're like introducing all of these people who are, it's silly. Like it's really silly, all this stuff. Like it is like, you know, the thing that I think, as much as I hate Bryan Singer, the reason why X2 and his first movie kind of work, and even like X-Men First Class, great movie, is it's kind of, they're able to ground it. They're able to put it somewhere and make all this stuff like super, super silly stuff. They're able to make it work, you know? So the fact that like they're doing this show first, and getting all the silly and all, we're cranking this to 11. And that's first. So then when we actually get them in live action, it's like, you know, when you, to get somebody ready for something, you overexpose them to it so that they're used to it. And so when you see them, they're not as like freaked out. So it's going to be great when Deadpool and Wolverine comes out and we're seeing all the X-Men in live action. It's going to be like, okay, this lines up. I do want to point out, ooh, this guy says, damn, this place is popping. You're not good says this place is popping.
Absolutely. This is how we bring it every day, because we don't have Ohio Riz like the like Skibbity toilet.
Riz. All right, so talk to me canonically. I'm not terribly familiar with Bishop, but he just takes this baby and goes to the future. I that to me was wild. I was just like, take my baby and go. Bye. I was like, but if he's there and he goes, can't he come back? I don't understand why it was like, they're just like, we're just saying goodbye to our baby. Bye.
Canonically, he does come back because Nathan is Cable.
Ooh, see, that's what I thought. I knew you were the right person to ask. I knew as I was watching it, I was like, but Nathan's somebody, right? Like Nathan is somebody.
He's Cable. The techno organic virus he's infected with takes his eye, his like left arm and pectoral and like his right leg. Those are all replaced with cybernetics. And then he winds up having these like immense telekinetic powers. And he's introduced in 1989, Rob Liefeld, New Mutants number 87, I think. And it's a mystery. They just know he's from the future.
Wow.
They just know he's from the future. And then like about 6-7 years later in Executioner's Song crossover, I think that's what it was called, they revealed that he was the son of Jean and Scott from the future. And they've played with that for a little while. But in the comics, I don't think Bishop is the one that takes him to the future. Bishop is a character from the future who is time displaced. And in X-Men continuity, they were like, oh, he can't ever go back to the future because that's not something that we do. He's just here now.
Yeah.
But in the cartoon continuity, he's come back and gone. He's come and gone back and forth a couple of times and gone back to futures that are changed due to what he did in the past.
Yeah, man, that's what it should be, because that butterfly effect, he's over there punching people and playing basketball. I mean, who's to say that one like extra 3 he hit in that basketball game in season 2, that didn't like cause a chain of events that caused the entire world to not exist when he goes back to it? I mean, come on.
Right. But he goes back and it's like Forge's lab is in Biff Tannen's casino. He's like, oh, I really screwed things up. Shoot. Oh, shoot.
Oh, and Lorraine's got a boob job. Trying to see what else we got here. Okay,
well, so how else were you supposed to know that she switched her personality and her values?
It's the same thing, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Same thing.
Wild and woolly place.
Yeah, so this show, like, I think I wrote this is going to be applicable to both shows. But I think because these shows are on paper so low stakes in terms of what they have to do. Like this, again, this isn't introducing Kang, this isn't bringing in Thrawn or anything. They didn't have to do these things. So they're really allowed to kind of run free. And this, you brought it up, the Inferno, that's a huge arc in the X-Men. They basically did that in 28 minutes and did it in a way that was like cool to watch and fun and like cool animation. It's just really refreshing to see this kind of stuff happening, where it's just like, these people we know that still, because it was just released this week that Anthony Mackie said that it's very hard to have a lot of freedom when playing in a Marvel movie because there's so much canon that you're like beholden to, not just like in terms of the movies, but also the comics themselves. So he said it's hard as an actor, but like X-Men 97 is like, hold my beer, let's go.
Right. It's and something that actually struck me watching it this week was that this definitely just feels like the sequel to the X-Men animated series, but for us. Like it's for the people that saw the original thing, and now it's for those people at the age they are now. It's the equivalent show, just matured upward, because they don't have broadcast standards and practices. Frankly, that probably muddled a whole lot of the of what they could do on the air in the last thing, because they were trying to make a relatively adult drama. I mean, like the Dark Phoenix saga, Days of Future Past, these are like kind of heavy things, and they just went for it, and they're still going for it. The show's great. Kenny, I don't know why you hate it so much.
I've nothing that I have said. Nothing that I have said has implied that I have anything but absolute love for this show and the Guga that it represents. I don't know. Should we talk about let's talk about Bad Batch, and then let's talk about like kind of these two properties together. Okay. How's that sound?
Right.
All right. So Bad Batch, we're talking about episode 9. There's 6 more episodes left of the entire show, but episode 9 is called The Harbinger. Written by Stuart Lee, directed by Stuart Lee, written by Jennifer Corbett. While waiting on Pabu, the Batch encounters Fennec Shan's contact, Asajj Ventress, which we're going to talk at length about, who informs them that the M count signifies a person's innate force. Omega has Ventress test her using the Jedi ways, but once they discover Ventress's identity, the Batch's distrust of her is fanned to hostility. Convinced that Ventress is sincere, Omega continues the tests under her, but during their final trial at sea, they inadvertently summon it and are attacked by a sea monster. Ventress rescues Omega and pacifies the creature, thereby gaining ground with the rest of the batch. Before leaving, Ventress claims that Omega's M count is low, but after indirectly admitting to the adult clones that she was lying, she warns them that they will not be safe on Pabu while the Empire keeps hunting Omega. Alex, reactions to this episode?
I think that there's since the prequels came out, there's been this air of like dramatic irony to Star Wars, in that like we all know where things are headed at certain points in the continuity. You know what I'm saying? Does that make sense? Like the Clone Wars, we know how that ends up already when it starts.
Exactly.
So it's about how we get there, and you could kind of say the same thing for the original 3 movies when they came out, because they were so closely hewed to a certain kind of story cycle that anybody familiar with it could probably guess, oh, this is what's going to happen next or whatever. But it's about how that journey propels itself and the characters that you meet along the way. I think that, in that we know where it's headed. We knew what an M count was. We're ahead of the characters.
One of the worst kept secrets. The fact that we got 9 episodes in and we finally heard the word midichlorians. I was like, good Lord, just somebody say it at this point.
But that wasn't to obscure it from us. That was to obscure it from the characters in the show.
Totally.
And they're finally like slightly caught up with us, which is kind of satisfying for us as an audience. But I think this is one of the more direct places they've played with that sort of where it ends up phenomenon. And they're only going to do it more and more, like you mentioned before, as they keep pushing this thing toward eventually resolving how Shriven Palpatine comes back into play in the sequel trilogy.
Yep.
Which again, it reveals to me more and more that they're trying to build something that makes sense from like the 30,000 foot level. That you pull back and go, oh yeah, these all connect. Oh yeah, he's here because this. It's hard to be in the throes of that as people who are like actively consuming stuff as it comes out and trying to figure out how it contradicts what they saw before. But at a certain point, all this stuff just makes sense, frankly, because of Dave Filoni. And thank you, David. You're the best.
Yeah. David Filoni is really knocking it out of the park here. See, what the implication is, for those of you who don't know what the M count or midichlorian is, the implication they're implying here is that Omega, again, needs to be... I think the banner we might have lost. I got to remake it. We got to remake the banner. But, cast Tim Morrison as live action Omega, please.
Absolutely.
But the implication is that Omega is a clone who is force sensitive. And it was basically confirmed this week. Something that they've kind of briefly danced around over the course of the series. But, obviously, if they get that blood, they get that Omega blood, they can make clones. And we know that they do. So I don't know if Omega is going to make it out of this show. Maybe we would need to cast live action Tamir Morrison as live action. But I want to talk about Asajj Ventress. So that's who, in the last episode, they're trying to find out somebody who knows what M counts they are. Fennec Shand, Ming-Na Wen, can help them. And she was like, talks to somebody and gives them the deal. Like, will you give these people information about M count? It shows up, it's Asajj Ventress. Now, quick primer on Asajj Ventress. Was originally supposed to be the villain in Attack of the Clones. There's a bunch of I just learned this today. I did not know. I'm assuming you knew that.
Sorry, say again. I was looking up Asajj Ventress.
That's what I'm looking at. I have it up right here, the Wikipedia. The villain in Attack of the Clones.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a bunch of mock-up drawings. Would have been a lot cooler than 105-year-old Christopher Lee, but that's where we are. But to give some background, during the Clone Wars, it's always like the Sith always have, there's always the rule of 2. And so Sheevan Palpatine is not supposed to be known as the 1, and Count Dooku is 2. So Count Dooku has a 2, and because he is known as somebody who has left the Jedi Order and is to the dark side, and so that he has an apprentice. His apprentice is Asajj Ventress. Now, so she's great. She's like, she's from Dathomir. which is where the Witches of Dathomir are, which was kind of, we saw them initially in Ahsoka. We saw them in live action in Ahsoka. In a book called Dark Disciple, which is, I've talked about it many times on this show, it is arguably one of the best canon books that, you know, when Lucas bought Star Wars, when Disney bought Lucas, and then they said none of these other books are canon, all these new books are canon. One of the first ones they took was this. It apparently is like an 8-episode arc or a 4-episode arc from Clone Wars that got scrapped. They turned it into a book. It's fantastic. It's basically Quinlan Voss, who is still alive. We've yet to see in live action, but he's supposedly still rolling around the universe. Quinlan Voss, you know, who's got them problematic locks, but we don't know. We don't know what his race is.
We don't know if they're problematic. They could be potentially.
And so he is tasked with trying to take out Count Dooku by kind of getting in with Asajj Ventress. They end up falling in love. She uses him how to use the dark side in order to extend his powers. They then try to take down Dooku, and Dooku kills her with Force lightning. He takes the body back to Dathomir. It is talked about how there was a funeral and all kinds of stuff, and then she is alive in this show. And there really isn't a lot of stuff there. So it's like, I don't know what's going on. Like
everything I'm seeing says in that book they put her in some water and she was brought back to life. That because she'd already died before Dark Disciple.
That's true. Did it says that at the end of the book? That's
what I'm seeing. No,
because I'm okay. So I will say this. I'm reading the Wikipedia says that she is killed by Dooku with Force lightning. I read this book. Voss later returned Ventress's body to Dathomir so that she may rejoin her fallen sisters in spirit. But nowhere does it say that she's brought back to life, because specifically the supervising director of The Bad Batch season 3, because she was shown in a trailer for season 3, and it revealed that she had survived the events and would appear, but the supervising director specifically said that the appearance would be faithful and not contradictory to the events of the book, which implies that she did survive that event. But when I remember reading that book, the implication was that she was dead, because we don't see her again, right? We don't see her in anything, so she's dead. We had to kill her. So, but she ain't dead. She's alive. But I mean, whatever. We cut what's his face in half, and he came back to life. So
we know that the Night Sisters have the potential and the ability to bring people back to life. So she went back to, if it's known that she was taken back there, then they've already brought people back to life. We've seen it multiple times.
Oh yeah, like no one's ever really dead in Star Wars.
NERD, baby, NERD.
Yep, no one's ever really dead. NERD.
No one ever really dies.
No one ever really dies, man. But yeah, but still, it was me personally, just because I think that book is awesome and good. I wanted a little bit more of an explanation, but maybe we'll get it. I mean, they brought I'm having so many brain fog moments this week where I cannot remember the name of this. And the person who is...
Let me do it for you. Who is it?
In Phantom Menace.
Aura Singh?
No, the main bad guy.
Oh, Darth Maul?
Thank you. God, Darth Maul. I could not... I've been having really bad brain fog. I've got long COVID. So, I couldn't remember the name.
I couldn't think of the name DJ Khaled for 2 solid weeks.
Another one. That's what he says.
Indeed.
A guy who refuses to go downstairs with his wife.
This is exactly what I was referring to, and I couldn't remember his name.
I have absolutely... I'll try to keep it as PG as possible here. I got no time for that, my man. I got no time.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like Chris
Take care of your
said.
Take care of your loved ones.
It's like Chris Rock that said, they still make your model.
Woof, exactly. Forget what I was going to say. Oh, why Darth Maul? Yeah, they cut him in half, and then they rolled his body out at the end of Solo, which was Oh yeah, if you go back to Clone Wars, they actually did bring him back to life. So yeah, no one's ever really dead. And I'm sure we might get some sort of thing, but this made me think, like, could we actually see her in live action? Because that'd be kind of cool.
I think so. I think that's like the whole thing they're trying to do now, especially with the announcement. I'm in the middle. It'll come in my Hoopla recommendations later, but I'm in the middle of one of the High Republic books that features the lead character in this book is the one who's going to be an acolyte. So okay. I think that with Ahsoka, the success of Ahsoka and like all that hype behind her casting and everything, I think more and more they're going to try and bridge these characters out and because it's just more marketing to see who you can hype up as the person you cast as these beloved characters.
That's what I'm saying. Why did we kill Cad Bane so quick? I want to see more Cad Bane.
Cad Bane's back. He'll be back.
He better be back. Can I throw out a name for you who I think should play Asajj Ventress in live action?
Gugu Mbatha Raw.
I'm sure I love that one too. I wasn't going to say that, but I love that choice. That's great too. I was going to say Elizabeth Debicki or whatever, who played the Princess Diana in seasons 5 and 6 in The Crown, and she was of in Guardians of the Galaxy 2 and 3. What are the gold people called? The people in all gold.
I can't remember, the Monarchs or something.
Yeah, so she was that. That's because Asajj is she's lean and mean and tall and slender. And I thought that would be my pick.
That's a cool, good call. I like that.
I like Gugu Mbatha Raw is really good, a good choice as well.
Yeah,
good choices, man. Hire us to be casting directors of whatever you're going to put Asajj Ventress in. Just do it.
Let us make choices for everything. Give it up.
Let us control the narrative for F's sake. Come on,
everything in the palm of my hand.
Everything in the palm of my yeah. So actually, really, I got to say, it's actually really great to see her again. She's a really great character. If you watch all the Clone Wars, she's a very powerful Force user. It's definitely makes perfect sense that she's still alive. She's somebody who could evade all of the Inquisitors. But it would be great. Why not just do like maybe this is like a backdoor pilot for an Asajj animated show in which she's like traveling around the universe doing, bounties while avoiding Inquisitors and stuff. That'd be kind of fun.
I would love that. I think one of the more important things to me too is that you have somebody who's so adept with the Force in all capacities who's not aligned. This is not a Jedi or a Sith. They're not light side or dark side. They can use. We saw it. They probably tuned into both sides of that with a Force choke and a Force soothe animal or whatever that skill is called.
Force soothe.
Force pet.
Force. Force pet. Yeah, Force and her lightsaber was yellow too, which is always fun to see a different colored lightsaber. Although based on the Acolyte trailer last week, we get all them different colors except red. When that red comes flying in all them different colors, it's like, what's happening?
Keep an eye on that. You know what I'm saying?
Keep an eye on that. So we've talked about both episodes a little bit. And I do think about the Bad Batch. We're trying to, they could potentially, to bring back this idea of these shows that don't have a lot of stakes. They don't need to do a bunch of heavy lifting stuff. That's my dog making that noise. Can you hear that?
Sounds like your phone's going off on a table.
No,
that's amazing.
Dog. She's asleep and she's like barking in her dreams kind of stuff.
She needs a CPAP machine.
Wow.
I cannot be stopped, and I refuse
that
to
is like changed. You gotta that's a log out and see you later. I just was saying both these shows don't have to do they don't have a lot of they don't have to do a lot of work, but gosh, are they doing a lot of work, man. It's really impressive to see these shows, especially a Bad Batch, a show that was very much like a kind of job of the week type of show, where it was like, we got to go do this job for Rhea Perlman, and we got to go and we got to go find something and bring it back to her. And now we're just doing a linear narrative. We are just like, by the end of this season, it is potentially up in the air whether now if Omega is going to make it out of this show alive or not, because this show, based on what they're positing, which is that they're trying to make clones that are Force sensitive, which they are still trying to do which though they achieve in Mandalorian because, what is Giancarlo Esposito's? Gosh, the brain is not working today. Giancarlo Esposito's character?
Moff Gideon.
To see those Mandalorian kind of troopers, they're not force sensitive, but they're trying to make force sensitive clones there as well.
Right. I mean, well, he has Snoke tanks, doesn't he?
Yeah. So that's where we're going. Like
Snoke is a force sensitive clone.
Yes. The thing that is so fascinating to me is, when Snoke got killed at the end of Last Jedi, which, again, a movie that I just truly, truly love. And the fact that, like, we didn't learn who Snoke was and they just killed him, to me, was like, great. We knew nothing about the Emperor in the first movies. Nothing. We didn't know anything. And he got killed and we didn't go like, but we never learned where he came from.
Who's his dad?
We never learned what planet he came from. But then when we do the same thing with
what was his Texas last year?
We do the same thing with Snoke, and people are like, well, Rian Johnson never told us who Snoke was. However, like, leave it to Filoni to be like, all right, guys, calm down. We're going to find out who Snoke was. Just come watch this. Come watch this goofy little animated show, and I'll take care of the whole thing.
Come meet the new Star Wars dog, and we'll all
Oh my
relax.
God, yes. Oh my God. The Star Wars dog. Absolutely. It's just a dog. Like, why not just make it a dog? Like, here's the thing about, and we'll wrap it up here. We'll do winners, losers in a second. I'm going to pause it. Another thing about science fiction. If we're operating in a space in which there are human beings, all right? We're not on Earth. We're in like other planets. Human beings exist on other planets. Why in the ever-loving hell could there not just be dogs? You know what I mean? Or cats. Why does it have to be like a Glapglor?
Because it just takes it takes you out of it. If like there's a lab mix on the screen, you just look down. There's one in your living room. It's like, well, this is horse apples.
But you can look. You can look to your right and see like your spouse, and then look on the screen and see somebody of one of the three possible whatever gender it is. I mean, non-binary. There's not just even three. There's multiple genders, gender non-conforming, whatever. But you can see that in the real world and also see that on the screen.
And that's about all I got. That's all about it. Any more reminders of the real world, and I'm out. That's what didn't work about Rebel Moon. There's too many, like they had dogs in it and stuff. Like, no. Give me space dogs. If you're gonna have a dog or a cow or whatever, the rule is it has to be a something cow, a Kowakian monkey lizard. You know what I'm saying? Like you have to say the planet and then the other kind of animal it is, or like it's a Venusian lightning panther. You know, like. Can't just say it's a
lightning panther. Fantastic.
It's a Jovian thunder lab mix.
I love everything you just said. All right, great. That was my one little beef right there. All right, so winners and losers. Who's the big winner? Let's just apply it to both shows. Who's the big winners?
It's me. I'm a winner a lot in this show, and I continue to be a winner here because, like, again, they resurrected X-Men from something I didn't like. I tried to go back and watch it when it was put back on Disney Plus, and I could not.
Tough watch, man.
I love this show, and also like, yeah, we're in such a place where they're doing that at the same time they're doing Bad Batch with Star Wars, which they tend to be way more precious with. But we're on season 3, the final season, letting David Filoni get felonious with it and land the bird with a 15-episode season.
Felonious monk, baby.
we are convicting you of a David Filoni. I think it's just great. I love that I have all this candy to eat and it's so high quality.
You know how they say that like jazz is the music that's like in between the notes? What is it they say about so Dave Filoni,
the notes they're not playing.
Yes, the notes are not. Dave Filoni is the guy who fills in the stories that the main continuity is not telling.
Yes.
There we go.
Yeah, exactly.
Felonious monk. The rare occasion where Kenny beats me to the pun I wanted to make. Yep, I'm Freddie Airmail. I'm really feel great about it. I knew you were right there.
Freddie, you stepped into the ring with a couple of people who've been paid to do it professionally. Like, you threw a major gauntlet down. We've had to really up our game.
Our game for sure. My big winner is just Guga. We are at like next level Guga. For those of you who don't know, we say it all the time on the show. Guga is like all the nonsensical stuff, the lasers and the gleep glorps and the blah blahs and all the goofy names that everything.
And the Goblin Queens and the
Goblin
Jubilees.
Queens and the Asajj Ventresses and the M counts and whatever. We are at like peak. Animation lets you get as goo-guy as you want to get with this goo-guy, because when you're watching it in live action, it is basically animated. You're watching a bunch of digitally, like no one's ever next level goo-guy show name. I love it. It's like when I always reference Black Panther and Killmonger fighting on the train, and it's like there's no human being involved in that fight at all. Like they didn't shoot anything. It is all made in the computer. So to have it be in a space where it's not like being criticized, I love it. Big win for Guga. Now,
I think I'm quoting E.A. Voss a little bit here, kind of side quoting him, that it's like in an X-Men live action movie, you might hear Hugh Jackman's character called the Wolverine. Like they call him in secret societies, they call him the Wolverine. And maybe that's one time in the whole movie, but in the cartoon, Wolverine, what are you doing over here? Wolverine, come look at this with me. Like they can just call each other their code names because it's a cartoon. It doesn't matter.
I think we mentioned that last week. Like it's like it's so rare that you hear people being like, oh, look, there's Captain Marvel, or here comes Iron Man, or even like it's always like the person's name or whatever. Doctor Strange is coming, and that's literally his name. His name is Steve. They still call him Steven like 90% of the time. But yeah, it's so great to be like, hey, Cyclops and Gene, they always say Gene, but there's two Genes, whatever. But yeah, like Magneto's coming, instead of saying Eric. Like, come on, he's like, he's not wearing a helmet anymore. He's just, you can just say Eric, come here, but no, it's Magneto's coming with us now. Oh, love it, it's great. Now the big loser here. Now I just want to point out real quick, when Bishop takes little Nathan, future Cable, to the future, and they are near a pond. And it seems like there's kind of a wispy tree in the back. I don't know about you, Alex, but that to me screamed Louisiana. Did it not?
It feels very, very Willow on the Bayou.
Yeah, very much so. We were in the bayou. We were there. Holy cow. What does it take? Like 5 minutes just to draw a little boat in the background? Draw Sam Wilson's boat into this show, please, you cowards. Do it.
It's just more and more. It's 24 frames a second of your putrid cowardice, and we won't countenance it anymore, Kevin.
Yes, that's it. Well done. Alex, do you have another ad read from Uncle Rick Caruso?
We do.
I don't want to hear that.
Uncle Rick Caruso's, he's got the Easter festivities at the Grove. This is the mascot of the Grove, Uncle Rick. For those of you who are fans of a little Easter grass, we turned the old Kmart across the street into an Easter-themed dispensary. Uncle Rick welcomes you to get zinged out of your doodler at Dr. Uncle Rick Bunny's Garden of Herbly Delights. Swing on by Uncle Rick's Petting Zoo, where brand new Apple VR headsets transform our corral of rats into a bunch of kitties and bunnies. Great for the environment. And again, don't forget to get your feet inspected, washed, and blessed by Uncle Rick, even if you just do it on the way out. Let's get there. Uncle Rick wants to hear those dogs bark. Adults only.
let's get there. Oh my God, fantastic. Let those dogs bark. All right, Alex. It's your turn this week. Now I know this is unequivocally. So It's game time. Are you ready?
Yeah, let's do it.
Here we go. Oh. Little sensitive finger there. All right, what are we doing this week? What's the game this week?
So this is the Am I High Republic. So I'm gonna ask you questions about things that happen in the High Republic. I mean, you're gonna have to tell me, is this a real thing from the High Republic or something I came up with when I was high? So,
yeah, baby. It's legal in California, folks. It's legal in California, Twitch.
I'm
so
an
just
adult,
think about that.
and my doctor said I should.
Same.
So the first question: the Jedi power their ships and weapons with their lightsabers.
I think that's true.
That's true.
Yeah, I think I saw that in the comics.
The Jedi face the dual threat of a clan of galactic raiders known as the Nihil and a sentient plant species fought by the ancient Sith called the Drengir.
Yep, that's 100%. I've seen it in the comics myself. I've read it, absolutely.
Features a Trandoshan Jedi named Skier.
Yes, that's
true.
Also true.
Also features a Jedi named Geach who is always chewing a piece of straw and calls Yoda Yoder.
No,
that does not happen in the
calling him Yoder though is British, so obviously. Hey, we got Yoder over here.
Hey, what are you doing, Yoder? The series partly takes place on an enormous space station called Starlight Beacon.
Yep, absolutely, that's true.
It features the debut of the brand new fighting technique Teras Kasi.
Yes.
False.
Ooh.
Teras Kasi is a semi-canonical fighting style. Introduced in a video game in the 90s. The High Republic fighting style introduced is Shonju. Sorry.
Okay.
Features a new music genre called crash punk.
I said yes.
Yes, it does. Okay, yes, sorry. I didn't hear it. Okay. Features several excruciatingly detailed passages describing the wide variety of Wookiee musks.
I feel like if we were writing him, it would, but I'm going to say no.
That's not in there. It introduces a character that will eventually feature in The Acolyte.
Yes.
Yes, that's true. Introduces a character who is a sentient athlete's foot with force abilities attached to a big dumb guy.
Yes.
No, that's not true. It's a cloud. There's a cloud one though. It features a controversial love story between Geach and Yoda.
I'm gonna say yes.
No, Geach doesn't exist. It is a story that takes place an even longer time ago in an even farther galaxy away.
Yes.
False. Same galaxy, just longer ago.
Yeah. Okay.
And the final question is this featured in the High Republic. The current trend of either gummying or freeze-drying normal candies is such a tectonic shift that the normal candy industry can pivot or perish.
That's definitely while you were high.
No, that's true. That's a true thing that happens in Star Wars. And so that's the game. Am I High Republic? The ultimate High Republic quiz game.
I love that so much. Well done. Great. That's great. That's excellent.
Thank you.
That was very funny. The athlete's foot with force sensitive that's fantastic. All right, Alex, this is the point of the show. We mentioned Hoopla a little bit earlier. Hoopla is where you can go. You put in your password. You can check out. You put in your library card. You can check out all kinds of digital comics. Alex, what are you recommending for the folks?
Well, I'm doing my first audiobook on Hoopla, and so far it's been a really cool experience. Works really well on my iPhone, and I'm reading Out of the Shadows, which I think is a YA novel, which I'm guessing because most of the characters are bright young people, but like
in love too, probably
some in love people. But the main character is, I can't remember her name, Venestra Rowe. She is going to be 116 in The Acolyte, but they establish that she's from a slow aging people in this book. And it's fun to get to know that character. She's a very talented young Jedi who became a knight at 15 and trained her first Padawan at 17. Her Padawan's like 16.
Keeping it close to the vest there. I love that.
It's really incredible.
Go ahead. I'm also going to recommend a High Republic. There's so many stuff on here. I'm kind of going to go rogue and recommend something that's in the middle, because I do want you to read the things before and after, but I can't find those specific ones where it starts. It's hard to kind of know the timeline. This is by Charles Sewell. It's called Jedi's End. It's kind of like in the middle of, I believe, phase 2, and it's in the middle of a story arc. It's just really cool. It's really, you mentioned the Nihil. Basically both the Nihil and the plant thing. They're basically both in there. It's just really cool. It's really, that whole phase in terms of like the main Padawan is the Trandoshan, who you mentioned as well. He's the main guy, and then his Padawan is kind of like she's just become a full Jedi. It's just really, really cool, awesome stuff. I'm also still reading Scott Pilgrim. I actually am on volume 4, and then this is crazy. I checked out volumes 5 and 6 from the actual library. So I'm excited to finish volume 4 on Hoopla and then read the actual handheld. And then this is cool too. I am a member now at Sony. They have a bunch of different they're called business resource groups. They're like called eBridge teams. And it's like
BRGs,
BRGs. Yeah, they have one. It's called the Anime Fan Collective. I'm now a member. I'm on the steering committee actually of it. And check this out. We started a manga library at the Sony store, and you can check out all kinds of manga. It's great. I checked out issue 1 yesterday of One Punch Man. I'm excited to dive into that.
Hell yeah. I really, this is going to sound weird. I have a really hard time with the backwards reading on manga. I lose myself really easily reading it, but I love that show. It is so good.
I'm very excited because I know your recommendation, and I haven't watched the show yet because I'm still making my way. I finished all of Demon Slayer. I'm now watching sports anime because I'm a dork. That's what I want when I'm working. I'm watching Karuto's basketball, just a silly little high school basketball show, but great. It's anime. It's great. And I'm watching Spy Family with my kid, which is another great show. There's actually a Spy Family movie coming out next month, which we're trying to finish binging the series so we can go watch the movie together. Anywho, Alex, do we have one more ad read from Uncle Rick?
Yeah, Uncle Rick and the Easter festivities at the Grove. We've got a really great Easter bunny this year, played by Emmy nominee David Ogden Stiers. And after hours, we've got a sexy Easter bunny, and this year they're smothered and covered like Denny's hash browns. Uncle Rick like, that's what it says. And then it's like, get your scare on at our haunted house. I mean, come on, the whole holiday is about someone coming back from the dead. We aren't totally off base here. And then last of all, slip off those loafers and let old Uncle Rick examine, wash, and bless your feet. Come on, it's the reason for the season. Adults very much only. Seriously, it's extremely spiritual. And those are the Easter festivities at the Grove featuring Uncle Rick. He's going to bless your feet.
He's definitely going to bless your feet. That is for sure. Wow, that is very interesting stuff. All right, Uncle Rick.
What a
I hope we don't ever get any more ad reads from Uncle Rick Caruso anymore.
There's a lot of major holidays that Uncle Rick is a fan of. Uncle Rick tends to appear at the major holidays. He didn't appear at Thanksgiving, but I think Christmas, 4th of July, he's always around.
He's always around. All right, what did your dogs think of these two shows?
Well, Lupo is making me call him Batcher now, so I think he's into he's into Bad Batch. He's cosplaying as the new dog.
Batcher definitely sounds like Ronto level. Like they're gonna have a dog this season, and I don't know. It's like they're the Bad Batch, and it's called Batcher. But let's come up with something better than that. And then it's like we're about ready to do. We're bringing live action Tamura Morrison in here to do some Omega recording. We need to. Are we going with Batcher? Like, I can't think of anything. Fine, call it Batcher. So
I had
weird.
a dog named Badger.
Yeah, my dog did not leave the bedroom. Oh, no, she was right with me. She was sleeping very heavily, but she was in the room with me. So she's in the room with me right now. So she really wanted to hear what was going on about this too. So she's all in.
Love it. I love it. If there's one Star Wars property I think dogs can really get into, it's Bad Batch.
Especially season 3, because they definitely feel seen. Because that space dog, that's for them. That's there for them.
That's a good boy. That's a space good boy.
Space good boy. Alex, we did it. Another show in the books. Bang.
Come on.
Boom. Done. That's how we do. This
Eat
is
my
how
shorts.
we do. Eat my shorts. Is there some place that the folks can find you?
At Duke_midnight and wherever major magazines are sold. Also, wait, I have a plug. So Thursday of next week, this coming Thursday, a week from yesterday, I'm going to be doing a show called Law and Disorder. It's an improvised Law and Order episode that we do at the Broadwater Theater. There's 2 more shows. One Thursday this coming, and then 2 Thursdays after that. I think links to tickets are in my bio, or at least they will be within 45 minutes of show's end. You have my word as a broadcaster.
I love this. I definitely want to check this show out. You can find me at Kenny G. Stevenson on TikTok and here on Twitch. You can find me at Kenny G. Donut King on Threads and Instagram. I do not have any shows coming up, but I might. Wink, wink. But yes, the news on that coming up. No idea what we're going to talk about next week. I don't know, probably X-Men and the Bad Batch. Maybe we'll talk about Ghostbusters. Maybe we'll talk about Godzilla. Who the hell knows? But we're going to talk about it. But thanks for talking with us today.
2 hours of Godzuki coming right up your cram hole.
And on that note, bye.
Good night.
Good night. Up your cram hole. Bye.